All right. Hi, Jane. Um, let's start out by having you tell us who you are and a little bit about you and your family, however you define family.
Well, hi, thank you for having me in this interview.
Yeah.
My name's Jane Word. I'm a Nashville native. I know there are not a lot of us, but I am. Actually, probably are quite a few of us. Um, I am divorced, long time divorced, happy. Um, I have a very small family, including a parrot, which you may hear in the background. I've,
Yay.
yeah, I've had him for 44 years. Do you believe that?
How old was he when you got him?
Two, he was sort of a rescue.
Okay.
Somebody had him and didn't feel like they could continue to take care of him. So they said, you know, that bird, he really liked you. And I'm thinking, how do you know that? But he shipped me the bird on the plane
Oh my
and
gosh.
I've had him ever since. And sometimes I've had to get parrot sitters,
Yeah.
if I couldn't, because I was traveling too, but it's worked out. He's been a great pet. He's very smart and funny.
What's his name?
His name is Beto.
Guido.
That's him going, "Bow, bow, bow." But
And they
uh,
can live a long time, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's,
he may be towards the end of his expected lifetime, but he could live, another, who knows, 20,
wow,
30 years.
that's fantastic. Okay, so you have Beto. That's one member of the family.
Yeah, I had a dog. Um, Sadly, dogs don't live as long as parrots.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that dog. Um, and I have, let's see, a brother, an older brother. He likes to say that I'm older than he is, but it's not true. So don't believe a word of it.
And is he still around Nashville as well?
Yes, he lives in a little further out in Bellevue, and he's just him. He's just him. And I have two nephews and a bunch of wonderful cousins. My grandmother, paternal grandmother, had some great children, and they had children, and so I have some lovely cousins and their offspring to have family gatherings with, which is really nice. Of course, um, we had to forego that for a whole year
Yeah.
Easter Easter to Easter, but I got to see them again recently, and it's been over a year, so that
Oh,
was nice.
yay.
I was starting to almost forget that we're in the middle of a pandemic still.
Yeah. And are they also local, or did you actually get to travel and go see folks, or what did you do?
Well, they're local enough where we had a get together in Nashville, so they live
Okay.
in Gallatin and Portland, so they're not.
Oh,
But the rest of my family is spread out. Other cousins are. It seems like the word family hit Virginia um, in the 1600s and just kept moving west. And now we've got family in Texas, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. I don't know how much further west they could go.
they
Then
wrap around.
they wrap around the world again. So
That's awesome.
yeah, Facebook's been a wonderful way to keep up with family, especially now. So
Yeah. And
that
your what was funny to me is you said the word family. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, she means the etymology of the word family. And then I thought, oh, no, she means her name, Jane Word. And it's
yeah.
such an unusual last name. Do you know the history of it?
Well, my brother who's into genealogy might, but I'll tell you my experience with it. I went to some kind of uh, convention of New
Oh,
Age stuff, and back in the back was this booth, and the name of the booth was the Word Sisters, and it was WYRDD. And I
okay.
thought, so I asked them where'd they get that word, weird, and it turns out it's Scottish, and our family is Scottish uh, for out of the woods. Okay,
Oh,
which relates to the Druids being weird, out of the woods and weirding ways,
yeah.
their magical. abilities and so forth. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it
That's
as far as the
great.
name goes.
Yeah.
Word, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's spelled WORD, right?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody shortened it.
It
Yeah.
got twisted. Yeah. 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 Exactly. That's awesome. All right. Um, and how did you discover GNUUC? You're a Nashville native, but we didn't get to know you until semi recently.
Yeah, well, uh, long story short,
Or
used to
long story. I'm good either way.
when I was in high school, I started attending the Unitarian Church on Woodmont.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I did that, it was near my home, and one of my friends went there, and I could catch a ride with her. I was too young to drive,
Sure.
so I'd catch a ride with her over there. We had a great time with LRY, and it was terrific. So back in Nashville, I had another friend who was attending our church,
Yeah.
and I would go with her sometimes and go to lunch. And that was awesome. It was great
Yeah.
fellowship and food and fun. And I liked that little building, and I liked the little congregation, everything about it.
Me too.
So I don't know how I heard about the women's group. I'm not sure. It might have been in a newsletter or
Yeah.
something, but I thought, hey, it came along at a time when that was just what I was looking for, a
Oh,
women's group.
yeah.
So, so they let me in, and I have totally, oh, I know what happened. Now I remember Denise
Oh, yeah.
spied me and said, we have a women's group. I said, you do? And so that's been over a year that I've been attending their meetings, and
Right.
that's been great. Great
From what
fellow.
I've heard, they were thrilled you joined. So it wasn't them letting you in. It was them saying, yay, Jane's going to join us.
Well, they didn't know what to expect, I guess, but it's worked out, I hope. I've
Oh.
enjoyed it tremendously. And one of the women, Mary Hinton,
Yeah.
was very much involved with the garden. And one day she said in our Zoom meeting, hey, we need some volunteers at the garden. And I went, I can do that, as long as it's not too heavy or
Yeah. Yeah.
hot, I can help. So Sandy Blantz and I have been carrying on Mary's fine tradition in the garden. And that's been a tremendous amount of fun, and just, it feels good to volunteer. I like volunteering. I like volunteering, doing things that outdoors.
Right. And it's so needed. I mean, better than anybody at this point. It's so beautiful and so peaceful, but it doesn't happen by itself.
That's right.
So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And anytime you want to come down and weed, we we could always use another weeder.
Believe me, I understand. I'm sort of overwhelmed by what I've got here at my house. It's actually more fun to weed at somebody else's house than at your own house.
This is true. This is very true, because you can go, well, I can, I'm done weeding, and the rest of it I'll get next time, and you don't have to look at it.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. So are you a gardener from way back?
Yes, my mother was a gardener. She loved her flowers, her iris in particular. And so I kind of, would tail around behind her and go, how do you do that? How do you grow this? And she would teach me things. It took me anyway, many years to learn you can't plant plants in straight peat moss and expect them to live, So, so I just kept killing things until I learned better.
Yeah. Oh, I tell my husband all the time, I'm a perpetual novice gardener. Every year is like a new year to me,
Yeah.
which I don't mind. Um, but it's just a very different way of looking at the world.
Yeah, but it's so fun. And then to have flowers abundant all around you. And one year I planted parsley, so I would get some a particular kind of butterfly caterpillar. And I did. I was just,
Oh, you did? I
yeah.
didn't know that parsley could attract a certain thing.
Oh yeah, but plant a lot of it because these guys will eat it all. And then there they are. They've got nothing to eat. What do you do with them?
And they're looking at you. Now you're responsible for them.
Yeah, I had to put them in the woods. I didn't know what else to do,
Yeah.
they're eating the plant down to nothing.
That's the other piece of it. We've let our backyard grow because it's inside a fence. So, the neighbors can't say too much. And it's been fascinating to me to see what, just over the 2 years we've done that, what different plants are coming up and what grasses are happy. And the chickens are now disappearing when they get through the weeds. So that's pretty funny too. So yeah, I'm with you. Gardening is a joy for the soul.
Oh, especially if you've got chickens running around in it. I've got chipmunks and
Yeah.
all kinds of birds, and it's great. I mean, it's always entertaining.
Right. You never know. And I'm so grateful that it's been raining because I haven't had to go out and water. So that's been nice.
Yes, that pattern's been great this spring.
Yeah. Um, what is an unexpected insight about you that it would be if we had hours and hours and months to get to know you, we would eventually find out. But you're going to let us have the shortcut route to the amazing thing about Jane.
Um, I can't really think of anything, but I have done some things that I kind of surprised myself when I
Yeah.
reflect on them. And I knew you were going to ask me that, so I thought, I had a picture of, I used to be a photographer in conjunction with being a graphic artist, and I
Okay.
had a picture published in Life magazine, which dates me because that magazine went out of print and
No,
long time
it's
ago.
not it's not been that long ago. That is fantastic. What was it a picture of, Jane?
Well, I was working for Vanderbilt University as a public information officer,
Uh-huh.
arts and science, best job ever. And 1 year Life magazine put out a competition about the new youth. This was in the 80s.
Okay.
And I went to my boss and said, you give me enough film and enough time, I will get you a picture of Vanderbilt in Life magazine. I don't know why I thought I could do that,
Well, you did.
but I did. And I was pretty proud of that. So
Oh, yeah. And
yeah,
so was it of individual students or what? Was it of the campus or?
I'm sorry you did ask that. It was a little tiny picture of these sorority women having a mud fight. One of them is facing the camera, that's me,
Yeah.
and getting ready to throw some mud at me, which she did not do, thankfully, but I still ruined my pantsuit in the mud that day, so it was worth it, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would say that's something to definitely be proud of. And how long were you at Vandy?
Well, I think I would have stayed there forever, but um, I was dating this guy, we were gonna get married, I was gonna move to Denver, and then so I quit my job, and I was getting ready to move, and then
Okay.
he broke up with me, and I'm going,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I'm heartbroken,
Sure,
and
of course.
I'd left my favorite job ever, and I thought, what's the best thing I could do for myself? And thought, wait a minute, I've got a friend who lives in Paris. I could go to Paris. So off I went to Paris for 6 weeks, and that was a good choice. It totally got
Yeah.
me over the dude.
Yeah, that would be a good way to distract yourself. Well done.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
oh my gosh, Jane, that's a great story. So you went to Paris. Did you have a house and things, or had you already sold that and all that? And
No, I didn't own a house at the time. I let somebody stay in my apartment that I was
okay.
but my friend in Paris had this huge apartment. I mean, you could get lost in it in the Marais, which is an old section of Paris, and it's sort of near the Louvre.
Okay.
Great location for an artist. So
Yeah.
so he let me stay there, and he was never there. He was working all the time.
Okay.
So I didn't know anybody there except his friends, and they all spoke French or wouldn't speak English. And I'm like, okay, I'll just try to keep up. And 3 years of college French didn't really get far in a conversation.
Right.
But they were very patient with me and very nice. And it was a great place. It seems like I keep going places I don't want to leave, and that was one of them. But your visa runs out, and you either have a choice of staying and working on,
Yeah.
under the table,
Right.
or coming home. So I came home.
And so then you came back and what'd you do then?
I eventually got a job with the state in the lowest position they had. In fact, they had to create one low enough for me. And with the Film Commission, the Film, Tape, and Entertainment Commission,
Oh, okay.
part of ECD, and charged with bringing movies and television production into the state. It was considered, a clean industry, in that the movie people would come in and make a movie, spend a lot of money, and we didn't have to build schools or roads or anything.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Or-
Gotcha.
So it was considered a desirable industry, and economic and community development in large was charged with bringing in
Uh-huh.
industry and business. And so I got this little tiny job there. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed scouting locations for films. I had studied cinematography and photography in college, along with art and philosophy, but I just kind of kept getting promoted, and eventually I became the director of the Film Commission. And
Wow.
yeah, that's another little known fact. I don't wave that around a lot, but some people know it about me.
That's the exact sort of thing I'm looking for. People are so funny to me. Everybody always says, well, I don't really have anything, but here's this huge big thing I did. Would that be of interest? Yeah, that would be of interest. Yes. And so how long did you do the directorship then?
Uh, um, I was with the Film Commission about 6 years,
Okay.
and somebody's knocking on my door.
Oh,
Isn't that?
okay. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
you
Do
did.
you need to go answer it? It's okay. I'll just pause.
Okay, if you can pause, I'll be right back.
So we know that you had a fantastic trip to Paris, and maybe you've been to Paris more than that, but what would you say is the most amazing place you've ever visited?
Well, you might laugh at me, but my mother took us to the Smoky Mountains when I was
Yeah.
a little kid. And I just said to her, Mother, stop the car. I'm staying here.
How
And
old would you have been?
I think I was like 8.
Oh, so you were young and you just
Yeah.
fell in love?
Oh, totally. And I thought, well, chipmunks live in logs. Maybe I could do that. And she was not convinced about that, but
And do you remember what it was that caught hold of your heart the way it did?
it was everything. It was so green and moist, and so many plants, so many wildflowers, and the beauty of the mountains, the layers of mountains,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
everything about it. And I've been a lot of other places. Hawaii's pretty great, you know.
Yeah.
I'll go back there, but I my heart's in the Smokies, and always has been.
So have you gone back many, many times over the years? And
Yeah.
can you remember that feeling from when you were a kid? Is it,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
I
that's
it's
great.
still like, oh, thank you, God, for letting me see the mountains again. And
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah, I just came back about 2 weeks ago
Uh-huh.
from the Smokies, and I hadn't been able to go up during the pandemic and
Sure.
so forth. So I was really grateful to get to be there again.
Well, and I think one of the things that's so magical about that story is it isn't very often, because I know that feeling you're talking about from when you're a kid where something just grabs a hold of your soul, but to be able to keep that feeling, that's unusual, to be able to still feel that way as you age about the same place. So you really are very blessed.
I feel like I am, and I'm very lucky that it's not that hard of a, not that much of a distance. And
Right, right. Yeah.
so I still, the older I get, the further it seems, I gotta say.
Well, that's about a lot of things, I would say. Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Do you have somewhere in particular that you like to go most now, or do you try something new each time?
Well, I tend to go up for the wildflowers, so I know where the trails are uh, that I was shown during the Wildflower Pilgrimage, which is an annual event. It's amazing. They're like over 100 different hikes or classes or talks you could attend in a 4-day period. So you got to
Oh,
choose.
wow.
Yeah. About 900 people were attending. They had to cancel the last 2 years due to
Yeah.
COVID, of course. But I I had been there three different times, and so I kind of know where I want to go to see what I want to see.
Yeah. Is
So I
that
go
where
there.
the lightning bug thing is that you posted about?
Yes,
Okay.
and I got to do that one year. It is an amazing event. Don't get me started with lightning bugs.
I think they're magical. Oh my gosh. And so that's one of the things from my childhood that I remember as magical, and it's still magical to me.
Oh yeah, it is. And what's special about this particular event in the Smokies, the Park Service has a lottery for parking because there's
Okay.
so many people who come from all over the world to see this particular display of fireflies. And there are several different kinds of fireflies, but there's one kind that has a concentration in the Smokies, in a particular part of the Smokies, and they'll they fly up and they're kind of blinking, and then they get synchronized and they go dark all at the same time. And these are the males. They're up trying to attract a female, and they figured out if we all go dark at the same time, then we've got a better chance. I guess that's what
Oh,
they're thinking.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just ooh ah time.
And you've been to that particular, huh?
Yeah, a friend of mine won the lottery. She called me up and said, "I won the lottery," and I knew exactly what she meant. And, and she asked
Money
me,
doesn't matter. It's the lightning bugs that are
"That's
important.
right, that's the important thing."
Yeah. Wow. And so what's the estimate for how many lightning bugs it is? Do they?
Oh, I have no idea. There are 19 different kinds that live in the Smokies,
Okay.
and they have like they have one show of the regular kind of yellow lightning bug, you
Okay.
know, and those guys settle down, and then they have this other kind of lightning bug that's like one of the weirdest and most beautiful, amazing things I've ever seen. It's big and it's blue and it stays lit for like a minute.
The light is blue?
Yes,
Huh.
maybe maybe it's only 10 seconds, but it seems like a minute.
It takes,
And
yeah.
it's called a blue ghost. And the first time I saw one, I thought, some kid's rolling a, a toy that's lit up down the trail. No, this is lightning bug, just,
I didn't realize there were different. I mean, I should have known there were different kinds of lightning bugs, but the kind I see in my backyard here looks like the same kind I saw in Iowa growing up. So I just thought there's just one kind, but obviously not.
yeah. Um, there are, it's really kind of amazing. It might be the same kind, or it might be another kind.
Yeah.
I, I'm not a lightning bug expert. I did read somewhere you can differentiate the species by the pattern in which they blink.
Oh, I'll have to look for that. That's really cool. And I'm also now stunned by the idea of a blue one. That's
I,
really cool, Jane.
I would so pay money to see a blue one in Middle Tennessee, but
Yeah.
they're special. They're really
Yeah.
special. A
Oh,
blue
wow.
goat.
The blue ghost. All right. Yeah, that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, as I told you, I could talk to you for hours, but I actually just have one final question for you, and that is, what is something joyful or interesting that you have discovered during the pandemic?
Hmm. Well, Zoom is one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have enjoyed meeting my friends and different groups on Zoom. And it's been, not quite as satisfying as being around actual physical
Right,
people,
right.
but it's certainly been better than nothing. So I've enjoyed Zoom. I also found out I can be more resilient than I thought I could be.
Oh, that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
I think that's one, I don't know, there have been so many lessons from this time. And I say from the privilege of being able to stay at home when I choose to. And I'm aware of that. So I'm grateful for that. But I do think it's given us a chance to meet in ways that we weren't used to meeting before. I mean, I would never have started doing these interviews because it wouldn't have felt like there was time or a need, because we could all sit around together at lunch and get to know each other.
Yeah. I think us not being able to have lunch is why I've lost 6 pounds during the pandemic.
Right. Gosh, I am looking forward to, as much as I love the Sunday services, and I I do like being able to meet on a weeknight instead of on a Sunday for some of the meetings. Just being able to be in the building together at some point again is going to be wonderful.
It will be, and we'll do it when it's safe and when
Right.
it's right.
Yeah. There is no rush, and we'll keep connecting in whatever way we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jane, thank you so much. I'm so glad
Okay.
I got to actually get to spend some time with you. I really appreciate it. And you are a delight, as I expected you would be.
Oh, thank you. I'm really honored you had me on, and it's been nice getting to know you a little bit too.
Yeah, likewise. Well, enjoy your time with Beto, right? Beto?
Yeah, he's over there talking up a storm in his little way, but
Do you have to, does he want you to respond, or does he just sort of entertain himself for the most part?
I think it's considered polite to respond when he's talking to me.
He's trained you well, Jane, I think is what we know. Thanks a million, Jane. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Jenny. You too. Happy gardening.
Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.